To think, there was a time when I thought Rob Zombie's Halloween sequel was bad. Hey guys, Matt here. This is my review of Halloween Kills. This movie is directed by David Gordon Green, who previously directed Joe, Stronger, and the 2018 version of Halloween. This movie stars Jamie Lee Curtis, Andy Matichak, and Judy Greer, with Anthony Michael Hall and Will Patton. So the plot of this movie picks up immediately after the events of the previous Halloween film, where Laurie Strode, her daughter Karen, and her granddaughter Allison are brought to the hospital. Meanwhile, Michael Myers is headed back to Hadfonfield. But this time, the residents of Hadfonfield are ready for him. When I first saw the trailer for the 2018 Halloween film, I got excited because they were omitting the garbage sequels. They were bringing back Jamie Lee Curtis as like a badass who's ready for Michael Myers, and I knew it was going to be a lot more violent. Well, having seen that movie, considering all the directional choices they made, the humor they tried to throw in there, the violence they added, and the fact that Laurie was only a badass in the third act of the film, I left a bit disappointed. So, having seen the trailer for this movie, I wanted to watch it just to see where it went. Oh boy. And let me just say that I'm going to watch the third installment of this franchise, just to see where it goes. But other than that, to quote Samuel Loomis, "He needs to die." Let me start with the positives of this movie. Jamie Lee Curtis, Will Patton, and a flashback. That's it. Those are the three things that kept this movie entertaining and watchable for me. Jamie Lee Curtis as Laurie Strode. She was good. She gives these, these monologues, but they're meaningful of what Michael Myers represents, what he stands for. Will Patton returns as a cop who encountered Michael Myers in the 70s, which I'll get to in a little bit. He's also really good. I've always liked Will Patton ever since Armageddon. Great actor, so I'm glad they brought him back. But there was a short scene with this really good chemistry between Laurie and Officer Hawkins in the hospital. It was really good. It was the only real emotion that you feel throughout this whole movie for anyone. And then the flashback. The movie opens up with Will Patton's character, and then it goes to a flashback from 1978, the night Michael came home. And the way they recreated Hadfonfield and the look and the feel of the 70s, perfect. I don't know what kind of filter they used, but the font, just the set design, the makeup, the acting, the casting, really good. Now this kind of answered some questions of, one, how was Michael Myers caught, but also what happened at the events after the end of the original first film. And they have a familiar face back in there, which is nice, but it adds depth to the drive of Officer Hawkins, and now how Laurie isn't the only one that's ready for Michael Myers. Now, that being said, let me get to the mixed of this movie. Anthony Michael Hall is playing Tommy Doyle, the kid that Laurie Strode was babysitting in the original film. Now he's all grown up. And him and a couple of the other characters from the original film, there are some cameos as well. They're ready for Michael Myers, and they pay tribute to the events of that night every year at a bar. And Anthony Michael Hall, I haven't seen too much of his work. Yeah, I've seen The Breakfast Club, Dead Zone, and a couple other things from him. But here, he just comes off as like this guy that's ready to rally the troops every moment. He gives these speeches that are so cheesy. Like, come on, Michael, we're ready for you. Evil dies tonight. Like, he's so serious when he's talking to these people. But I like the character of Tommy Doyle. I liked how you had this original character who's grown up, who's like Tommy Doyle in Friday the 13th. He's this guy that's encountered Jason Voorhees, who's ready for him. So I like that aspect of it. And there are cameos from original actors from the original film as well, which is really cool. But now let me get to the negatives of the film. The cameos here are wasted. You have 3 actors from the original film, excluding Jamie Lee Curtis, in this movie. Sheriff Brackett's one of them, and 2 females. And it was really nice to see them. They even had some lines. But they're wasted. They're wasted. Why they didn't wait to bring these characters back for the third and final, hopefully, final movie, Halloween Ends, is beyond me. You have these cameos just for what? fans that haven't seen the original aren't going to know who these characters are, therefore they're not going to appreciate them. And so, cameos, wasted. Also, this film had no plot. It had just a series of events that they directed together to make you think there was a story in motion, when there wasn't. This film takes place the same night as the first movie. So you have Laurie Strode and her granddaughter in the hospital, along with Officer Hawkins. So what they do is to give some sort of passage of time, they cut back between Hadfonfield and the hospital in mere moments of each other. They just cut back and forth to what Tommy Doyle's doing, to what Laurie Strode's doing, and then to what Michael Myers is doing, or who he's killing, for that matter. The violence in this film, excessive. Excessive. If that's why you're wanting to watch a Halloween movie, then you're going to be totally satisfied. To me, the violence was over the top. I get it. It's called Halloween Kills, so you're going to have kills in this movie. But to me, the violence was just over the top. And it's making up for the lack of story, which is not good. And it proves my point that a lot of times horror movies nowadays are just a bunch of sex and violence. There's no intrigue, there's no drama, suspense, horror. There's nothing that makes you, grip your seat when you're watching a movie nowadays. It's just, ooh, let me see how gory this kill is. And that's not how you make a good horror movie. Now, there is one other positive, that they kind of do what the end of Halloween 4 did, where they have this small militia kind of go up against Michael Myers and try to teach him a lesson, which in that movie it worked. Here, the idea is sound, but the execution is very poor, because you have Tommy Doyle rallying all these, Hadfonfield citizens to take on Michael Myers, which the idea is there. And at the end of the film, they try to execute that. But then it's like they only rallied the people together just to show how faulty a system like that could go wrong. And it does. You have accidental deaths, you have suicide, you have injuries that are caused by this, this gang mentality of all these people getting overworked and scared and angry, and just, all these mobs of people causing more harm than good. So that aspect was nice. However, we don't have to look forward to that in the next movie. It's like they took all these nice ideas and they wasted it all in this film. They saved nothing for the third movie. Also, the people, the victims that Michael Myers kills, they deserve to die. Only because they're stupid. Now, I get it. It's a horror movie. You're going to have cheese, and you're going to have tropes, and you're going to have dumb people that deserve to get killed. Well, you have way too many of them in this movie. And the comedy was thrown in there, and it didn't work. Because you had things that Michael Myers did that were unintentionally hilarious. You had things that some of his victims did. And yeah, there was some... oh boy. Michael McDonald from Mad TV is in this, so it was nice to see him still acting, but, him and his partner's scenes with Michael Myers, a little silly. Laurie Strode is in this, but she's sidelined for the entire movie. She's in a hospital, so she doesn't really get to see Michael Myers at all. And just another thing is, communication is very important. And when they take horror movies or any franchise and they try to make it serious and grounded in reality, like this could happen today in real time, that's one thing. But when they take characters who don't communicate, who do stupid things, who just dumb down the realism, it takes you out of the movie. And it took me out of the movie too. It's like there's one thing that's said to a character, it creates this huge amount of miscommunication that causes these really drastic events. And it's like, is the movie going to be serious or funny? Because the tone of this movie was all over the place. It's bad. There's no plot. Laurie Strode's sidelined. There's a good amount of violence, so if that's what you want to see, then you're going to enjoy this movie. But I left really disappointed. And like I said, I'm going to see the next film, Halloween Ends, just to see where it goes. But I'm not expecting a whole lot because, one, not many of the characters are going to make it to that film. But also, the encounter between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers better be epic and intense and great. Otherwise, I'm going to just dismiss this Halloween franchise as another failed reboot. To think, before I saw this movie, I was just thinking, you know what? I'm really glad the Halloween franchise is still around. But now, not so much. So because of that, I'm gonna give Halloween Kills a C minus. Will Patton, Jamie Lee Curtis, and the flashbacks saved this movie. Till next time, guys. See ya.